Hari Om. We are going to be learning watercolor with this tissue paper, and for that I am going to use blue tissue paper, watercolor paper, some salt and a white crayon. I am going to draw some swirls with a crayon, that's white crayon, and now that my drawing is done, you might not be able to see it right now. Don't worry, you will see once we are done with our painting. Now that I'm done, I take my brush, and before I do that, I take my palette, I crunch this up, and I drop some water so that the tissue paper gets wet. Make sure it's completely wet so that it starts bleeding the color. And then I'm going to quickly give a light coat of water on the whole picture. And then I start dipping my brush into this tissue. And as you can see, it starts bleeding the blue. Once I'm done covering the whole card or the whole paper, I take the salt and sprinkle all over. We have to make sure that the paper is wet enough with the watercolor before we sprinkle the salt. So if you see any areas that are not covered with the watercolor, just make sure you give one more touch. And now I sprinkle some salt. And I leave this to dry for a few minutes, and we will get to see the effect of salt on this watercolor. Now that our salt and watercolor is completely dried, I have dusted off all the salt, and now if you can see, the salt has created an effect. And you can see the crayon lines where the watercolor did not enter, so the white crayon is acting as a resist for the watercolor. So enjoy and keep creating.